How is everyone doing? I'm FC, this is Blue Lines TV, and welcome to another 5 talking points video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Callum Hudson-Odoi and Sarri. I'm going to be talking about Sarri's comments on the squad's limits, as well as specialization in football. For the third talking point, I'm going to be talking about why we need to embrace our attacking instincts, the bottlenecks in the squads, and to end things, I'm going to be giving some thoughts and opinions on Sarri. But you guys, if you do like today's video, smash that like button. Help me get more than 750 likes for today's video. And don't forget to press the bell notification button as well to stay tuned to all things Blue Lines TV. Anyway, starting with the first talking point, that's in regards to Sarri and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Now, of course, I think it's getting to the point now where Callum deserves to be playing on merit because he is our best winger currently, especially on form. And when you look at the ability he possesses compared to guys like Pedro and Willian, he's performing. You know, certain games where he's playing alongside a Pedro or Willian, he's the guy getting the assist and scoring a goal. And sometimes you're thinking, you know, if you're the experienced better player, why aren't you having that same contribution? So I feel like this is where Sarri needs to start embracing the talent we have. But I don't necessarily blame Sarri for everything. I think Sarri's a guy under pressure right now. He's trying to save his job. The board haven't really given him any faith at all. They haven't come out to make any statements in regards to how they view Sarri in the long term. On top of that, he has to secure Champions League football, otherwise he's definitely going to get sacked. And on top of that, with our current issues with this transfer ban, the board have put more pressure on him to start using young players. But at the same time, even though I know it's a bit of a cliched argument, there's still some valid truth to it, and that's the fact that if you want Sarri to use young players, that comes with the possible risk that you might not win every single game. Now, for me, that's like the cliched argument. I think if we really delve deep into this, of course, Hudson-Odoi isn't some average 18-year-old. Ruben isn't some kid anyway. I mean, the guy's 23 years old. I think one of the reasons why Sarri uses the experienced guys is because, number one, he might feel more confident in their defensive ability. And number two, he might be thinking, if it comes to scoring a shot on goal, who's more likely to score, Pedro, Willian or Hudson-Odoi? He might be thinking the other guys. For me, I think that's wrong. Hudson-Odoi is showing now that he's ready to take things to the next level. He's showing that he improves the team when he plays, which is important. And I think that after this international break, with how the England players are in praise of him, the managers, the coach, if he does potentially play, he's going to become part of that discussion even more throughout the season. It's getting to the point now where Sarri just can't afford to miss out on using Hudson-Odoi. There's no excuse anymore. And I think after seeing the performances of someone like a Pedro against Everton, this has to be the final straw now. That's my opinion. I'm not going to be as sympathetic if we get back after the international break and Pedro is still playing over Hudson-Odoi. I don't think I could accept that, especially when he's been so useless throughout most parts of this season. But again, you guys, I feel like people really misconstrue my points when I make these videos. I'm not here to paint black and white answers. Listen, I make criticisms about Sarri, but at the same time, I paint the picture to provide the context in regards to why he does certain things. That doesn't mean I agree with them just because I'm giving valid context. It just means that I'm trying to paint a fair and accurate picture so when you guys hear this, you can form clearer and better opinions. But of course, Hudson-Odoi, congrats again for making it into the England squads, and hopefully Sarri is going to watch out as well and finally start to smell the coffee. Moving on to the second talking point, and with the next few talking points, they're all going to be linking one after the other, so make sure you're paying attention. But for the second talking point, I'm going to be talking about the limits in the squad Sarri's talking about, as well as specialization in football. And I'm going to be using Liverpool as an example when I do talk about specialization in football. Now, Sarri's finally said something that I've been saying for such a long time. This squad has reached its limits. There's only so much you can do with them. Right now, for me, it's not a case of the system holding these guys back. It's the players, or some of them, holding the system back. One thing I'm always going to keep saying is because I do think I might be right, but I have the feeling that Sarri really overestimated the strength of this team before he took over. I mean, paint the picture. He's with Napoli, they're close to winning the title. Of course, his only attentions are going to be on Napoli. Right after that, it took us forever to sign him as well. When did he really have that time to start analysing things? There was a time where, you know, he wasn't even the #1 choice in the running. So it's no surprise to me that he would have thought guys like Alonso, Aspi and others might be better than what they actually are. Now blame the board for the limits on the squad because the squad wasn't tailored in anyone's image. I keep saying this all the time. This squad isn't tailored for any type of football. Really, we're a squad that does a bit of everything. And I think right now, with how the big clubs are in modern day football, this approach of being the jack of all trades, master of none needs to stop, because you're not really going to grow or prosper in the modern climate in football. Now from now on, I'm going to be talking about specialization in football, and I'm going to be using Liverpool as a prime example of why this benefits teams so much. When you look at all the top teams in Europe, their squads and their first teams are micromanaged, fine-tuned, and are 100% complementary to the system they're playing in. But you might be thinking, Nini, it's a bold statement to make out that our approach over this decade has been pretty bad. We have won trophies, there have been successes, but my issue is because we aren't specialized or tailor-made for any particular type of football, this is stopping us from having that continuous success over a decade. And isn't that the whole point? Don't us fans get sick and tired of, let's say, winning a trophy one year and having a completely disastrous season the next? And it's happening more frequently these past couple of seasons. It's really telling us that this approach is outdated. Now for me personally, one of the main reasons as to why teams are focused becoming more specialized in the areas in which they play in is because they have to fight one extreme with another. With modern day football, casting minds to international tournaments, how often do we see smaller nations now getting freak results because players are fitter, faster and stronger, it's easier for them to really fulfill tactical demands over 90 minutes. A lot of times now they're not getting tired anymore. Players can play past 90 minutes easily. And when you're facing against a team that are literally parking the bus, have 2 deep blocks, where you've got 5 at the back and 4 midfield and they're very tight compact, it makes it hard for every single team to play through that. The football landscape changes tactically depending on the most popular defensive off-the-ball structure of that current time. Tactics are then created to counter the defensive structure, and from there we see the birth of new tactical roles, and players need to have new skill sets to keep up with the demands of modern day football. And as I keep saying, look at our team. Look at this squad. What are they tailor-made to play? Now, one team I really respect right now is Liverpool. They're a team quite similar to us in the sense that they realised that the way they were going forwards wasn't sustainable. They hired Jurgen Klopp to bring a philosophy to the club. They gave him time and patience. They signed the right specific players to get the very best out of it. And now we're seeing a Liverpool team that completely dominated against Bayern Munich. And when you look at that Liverpool team, every single one of their players is tailor-made and crucial for how they play. They've got fast dynamic fullbacks in Robertson and Trevor Arnold to get forward, can cover ground in spaces very quickly. They have a mobile, fast and aggressive front three that constantly make runs in behind, press very aggressively, win their 50-50s as well as looking to create space on top of that. All the midfielders are tailor-made to win possession back quickly, press aggressively, and they have strength and they can run hard. Their defenders are comfortable in possession and can play on the ball, and even the goalkeeper is tailor-made for this system as well due to his ability to pass the ball, and it really helps him on the counter-attack as well. And this is what I mean by specialization. When you buy players, when you build a squad tailor-made to one particular style of football, it makes sense then to spend 70 million on a goalkeeper, because in a specialized team, that's going to help improve the team exponentially because of a player that has a crucial skill set that gets the best out of the other players on the team. That's how it's supposed to work. But look at how Sarri's starting to build this team. We've got foundations in regards to how we can play out from the back. That's one area we're key in, and I personally feel like if we couldn't play out from the back, there's no point persisting with Sarri or Sarri ball, but we can. We've got Jorginho, who's crucial for this system. We've got Kepa as well. Our centre backs can all play on the ball, they can all pass, which is very rare to have. And we have Kante, that Alan for the team as well. Let's not forget too, Pulisic is going to be playing for us next season. He's a young player that presses high, presses aggressively, makes runs in behind, and has the pace as well. And Pulisic, over time, could be an upgrade to what Callum is, and Sarri could really work and develop the player. And when you consider that we have Ruben and Hudson-Odoi as well, but not that far behind. Specialization is what Sarri's working towards. When you look at all the best teams that are winning currently, that's one thing they all have in common. Sarri last year showed us what specialization looks like with his Napoli team. He's close to building that here. That's if we give him the time. But one way in which Sarri can start to build the specialization process leads on nicely to the third talking point, and that Sarri needs to embrace the attacking players in this team. I've said this for months. I've said this a long time ago. And I keep asking myself, why isn't Sarri just using the attacking players in the team? And then I remembered, oh, of course he's Italian. And of course he's thinking about the fact that defensively we're quite poor. What do I mean by that? We're defensively poor against the transition. Teams constantly counter-attack against us, and most times they're doing that. They're exploiting individual players who are making individual mistakes that are costing us time and time again. But with how I see things, it's not as if we have a lead we're protecting. Most times we don't. Our biggest issue is the fact that we don't score enough goals. I've spoken about how there can be a best of both worlds approach. Let's focus on trying to win the game first before guys like, the experienced guys or covers can come on and help us seal out the win. That's what we need to do. We have to flip the script. We can't bring on our best attacking players later on in games. Let them start things. Most times when you have a lead in this country, you're going to win the game. And another important reason as to why I feel Sarri should be doing this is that I want some of our best players to get used to playing alongside each other more in the system. I feel that's one thing a lot of our best players haven't been doing. How many times have we seen Hudson-Odoi, Ruben and Hazard together? But obviously if they all did play together, that's going to exponentially improve the attacking potential of this team. And I feel like Sarri has to really reevaluate how he's assessing the situation. Yeah, I get it. But most times what's happening is the game's deep in its final stages. We're looking more desperate and there's more space left in behind. Sometimes this doesn't even happen later on in games. It happens quite early. Most times right after the second half. We tend to concede in the first 15 minutes of the second half. And for me, it's no surprise that we see this mentality dip, which Sarri's basically saying is a lack of concentration when we restart the game. And I feel like if this team was carrying a 1 or 2 goal lead into the second half, things would be completely different and the mentality would be much better. And I made the point about how our best attacking players need to be playing together, and that moves on nicely to the fourth talking point for today, the bottlenecks in this squads and in this team. We don't have a very good supporting cast, and I feel like our first team's really weird. How can we have a first team where we have guys like Hazard, Kepa, Higuain, Kante, but they're playing with guys like Alonso, Aspi, Barkley, etc, etc. And it would be different if we were carrying like maybe 1 or 2 average players, but when half the outfield players aren't suited to this style of football and aren't good enough in that sense, that's going to affect what our best players can do. For example, if you're Eden Hazard, you want to make a 1-2 because you want to move into the space created. It's not happening most times because Alonso's losing the ball or Barkley isn't in that position to be the guy for the 1-2. Happens time and time again. If you're Higuain, you're making runs to the near post and the far post. Why does that matter when Aspi and Alonso are never going to find you? Alonso was awful against Everton. I'm not even going to say disgraceful because this is the guy's limit. He never said that he was a world-class player. I don't think anyone says that about him. He's just an average player playing above his means. And that's the same case for a few of these guys. You know what happens with most of the best teams in Europe? Normally it's the fullbacks stretching the play, hugging the touchline, and it's the attacking players in those half spaces. But with us, and it's something I've seen for years, and I'm thinking it just comes down to the ability of the player and not instructions inputted by the manager. But you see Alonso or Aspi deeper and in the middle. And you don't want your worst technical players to be in positions like that. And most times that's where possession's getting lost and we're getting counter-attacks. Ross Barkley as well. He doesn't help anyone. You constantly see guys like Jorginho and Luis constantly telling him where to be and where to go. He doesn't even make those runs to create the spaces for guys like Hazard and Higuain. You know, I'm trying to paint a picture of the lack of ability with some of these guys and how it affects the manager and the other players as well. And I feel like we don't talk about how guys like Hazard, Higuain, the Kantes get affected when other players around them aren't as good to play with them. That's the honest reality. And again, I've gone through 3 points that I linked together. And for me, Sarri needs to be brave, you know? If you do get sacked, go out a winner. Tell yourself, I tried, I did my thing. I stayed true to myself. And to do that, you have to start using some of the younger guys for some of the better technical players. That's the only way we can get out of this current situation. And even if we don't win, as long as we see promising good performances, that's all that's going to matter. And hopefully luck goes in your favor where you've got something to build from for next season. And to end on the final talking point, I'm going to be giving some brief thoughts and opinions on Sarri. Now, hopefully people have been considering my thoughts and opinions in this video. It's not a black and white matter right now. Some of the simplistic solutions a lot of people have aren't going to be the major thing that's going to really change things in our favor. That's not the case, because I've been trying to paint that there's a lot of issues, a lot of structural issues that have really encapsulated this season in a whole. And this is why we're facing a lot of the current issues we currently are. As I said before, I don't do that black and white stuff. It's great for me because there's a lot of context for why our season is currently how it is right now. And I think that you're doing a disservice to yourself if you try to distill the current situation to simplistic black and white opinions. For every negative that Sarri does, that same negative could be passed on to a lot more people behind the scenes at the club. And when the guy has so many commitments he has to follow, you know, he needs to get Champions League football, his job is on the line. You can understand why he might make some poor decisions under pressure. And I think this is where Chelsea needs to come out, be strong, be brave, and be like, you know what, we stand by you. We understand the situations. Here's what we should do for the future. Focus on the long term. But if we keep forcing managers to have to do so many things at once, it's not going to help us. Now, when Klopp and Pep took over City and Liverpool, the boards at those clubs understood the task that needed to be done. And that's the main reason why they spent so much time and effort securing Pep and Klopp. Now with us, we put in that same effort to try and sign Sarri, but we're half-arsing it as we always do. Think of any other manager that took over us. Would they be able to make us play much better than what we currently are right now? I don't think so. If Mourinho came back with his team, would we start to win more games and get more points? No. I think our attacking impetus would get worse. I mean, did you guys forget how Man United used to break down teams? It was non-existent. If Pep came through, would he be able to do anything without having fast attacking young players that can run longer, cover greater distances, having fast attacking fullbacks as well? No. And what about Klopp? His style is based on a counter-pressing system. We don't have the players to do that. We've got a few, but most of these guys can't do it consistently. This is the reality of the squad right now. It's not going to help a single manager, as I keep saying. A lot of people are basically arguing for us to continue this, you know, jack of all trades, master of none approach. And of course, every now and then for certain games, that's going to help. But when you don't have that specialized, sustained style, that's not going to help you in the long term. And this is why we constantly face the issues we do. And if you believe in Sarri, he's not going to be the answer to our miracles. I don't think we're going to win a Champions League in a year or two, but we need that structure and those foundations. We've needed it desperately for so long. When you think about Sarri, think about the future. Don't think about now. We've seen so many positive signs this season that, if given time, Sarri can make this work. But anyway, you guys, that's going to bring it in for today's 5 talking points video. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm NiniFC. This is Blue Lions TV. Signing out.